It's brutal. Reaction time lie. Everybody tells you race car drivers have faster reflexes than you. They don't. Their neurons fire at the exact same speed yours do. The gap isn't in the wire, it's in what you never built. Real talk. So stay with me. But if you need somebody to tell you to believe in yourself, wrong room. If you're happy reacting to life after it punches you in the mouth, close it out. This is for the one who's tired of always being half a second behind. Here's what nobody says out loud. You don't lose at the moment of failure. You lost before you walked in. By the time the pressure arrives, the outcome is already decided. Not by what you do in the moment, by what you built before it. Most people never build anything. They just show up and react. That's not a strategy. That's hope. And hope ain't a system. Think about the drive home. Same route, 100 times. You pull up in the driveway and don't remember the last 10 minutes. Brain handled it without you. Most people hear that and feel good about it. Look how efficient my brain is. That's the wrong reaction. The right question is, if your brain can default on a familiar route, what is it defaulting to in environments it has no map for? In every meeting with no preparation. Every negotiation with no preloaded scenario. Every high-stakes conversation you walked into cold. Your brain defaulted, every time, to reaction. F1 drivers don't get to react. At 200 miles per hour, reacting is already too late. So before race weekend, a driver runs that circuit in his head. Every corner, every braking zone, every apex. Not once, 400 times. 400 mental repetitions before a single physical lap is driven. By the time lap 1 begins, the track isn't new information, it's confirmation of what he already knew. Every input that lands during the race lands inside a map that's already there. Not raw data, pattern confirmation. Your brain has the capacity to compress pressure points, variables, competing demands into single pre-recognized units. One chunk, not 20. Academics call this predictive cognitive load management. I call it front-loading the room before it moves without you. Here's the number. Average human reaction time, 800 milliseconds. Trained F1 driver at race pace, 160 milliseconds. Not because his neurons are different, because by the time the moment arrives, he's already been there 400 times. 5 times faster. Not 5 times more gifted. 5 times more prepared to already know. The brutal part isn't the gap. The brutal part is that most people don't know the gap exists. They walk into every high-pressure environment believing they perform well under pressure. And they do, relative to their own standard. But their standard was set by a system that never got trained. You can't outperform a ceiling you don't know you have. That ceiling isn't intelligence. It isn't experience. It isn't talent. It's architecture. And it's been deciding your outcomes before you ever walked in the room. You're thinking, I work well under pressure. That's just how I'm wired. I always figure it out. Wrong. That's not a compliment. That's a description of someone who never built the map. I always figure it out means you've been paying a reaction tax on every high-stakes decision you've ever made. And calling it a strength is the exact reason you never got rid of it. The F1 driver running at 160 milliseconds isn't figuring it out. He already knew. That's a different thing. And it's been costing you more than you've noticed. Here's what you do. First, before the next high-stakes environment you enter, sit for 5 minutes. Name 3 things you predict will happen. Not hope. Predict. Write it down. Second, after it ends, don't move. 60 seconds. Phone down. Recall every moment something surprised you. Every decision you had to make on the spot. Write it down. Specific. Real. What were you right about? Third, this week, pick the one environment where you consistently get caught reacting. The meeting. The negotiation. The conversation. Before the next one, spend 10 minutes preloading the map. Name every pressure point that's coming. Name your response to each one before it arrives. Fourth, go in with the map loaded. After, Compare prediction to outcome. What were the gaps? Every gap is a failure of the map. Every correct prediction is the mechanism working. The map gets sharper every time you run it. And every time you don't, you paid the reaction tax again. The first time you preload before a meeting, it's going to feel like overkill, slow, like you're preparing too hard for something that'll probably be fine. That feeling is exactly how you know you've been operating reactively your whole career. Probably fine is a reaction strategy. It is not a performance strategy. Every hour an F1 driver puts into preloading a circuit saves him 0.3 seconds per corner when the track tries to take him out. On a 60-corner circuit, that's not marginal. That's the difference between a career and a hospital bed. You're not at those stakes, but the mechanism is identical. The preparation is invisible. The gap on the board is not. You've been calling probably fine a strength for your entire career. Don't act surprised when the room moved without you. In real talk, that's the complete system. Predictive cognitive load management. Front load the map. Run the gap audit. 3 things. Done. Apply those this week. You're already processing faster than 90% of people in any room you walk into. You could close this out right now. Everything you need is right there. Except there's one part I haven't told you yet. The part that makes this actually brutal. Because the 5 times advantage isn't what's brutal. What's brutal is how the F1 driver performs when the map breaks down. When the car in front of them does something that wasn't in any of the 400 reps. The protocol for that moment, what F1 academies call the chaos recovery sequence, is the most transferable thing in this entire video. And nobody talks about it. Nobody's gonna build your cognitive map for you. You'll watch this, understand the gap, agree with the mechanism, and tomorrow morning, you'll walk into your first high-stakes situation operating on probably fine, same as yesterday. Or you won't. The people who apply this don't just process faster. They walk into pressure like they already know where it's going. Because they do. They built the map. They already been there. That's what a preloader is. That's who this was built for. Look, most people who watch this gonna close it out. Agree with every word. Go right back to reacting the second the pressure shows up. Be the one who actually moves. Subscribe, because the next video breaks down exactly how forensic accountants spot fraud before the evidence is obvious, how they detect the tiny anomalies, behavioral leaks, and financial distortions that most AI systems completely overlook. What they see when the numbers technically add up, how they know where to look when there are millions of transactions and only one hidden lie, and why the same pattern recognition framework applies to every environment where deception hides inside complexity and everyone else mistakes noise for truth. You don't need more data. You need to know what the data is trying to hide. See you on the next video.